In a world that constantly demands your voice, your energy, and your attention, there is a hidden power that very few recognize: the power of silence, the power of self-focus. Sometimes, the greatest battles are not won by shouting louder, but by turning inward and finding strength in silence. My dear sisters, when you begin to focus on yourself, the world around you begins to rearrange itself. Everything falls into place, not because the world changes, but because you change. Too often, women are taught that their worth is measured by how much they give to others, how much they sacrifice, and how much they tolerate. But let me ask you this: how long will you keep pouring from an empty cup? How long will you keep smiling while carrying wounds within? Silence does not mean weakness, it means wisdom. Focusing on yourself is not selfish, it is self-respect. When a woman learns to turn her energy inward, to nurture her mind, body, and soul, she becomes unshakable. And when she becomes unshakable, everything around her finds its right place. When we hear the word silence, most of us instantly think of weakness, of being voiceless, of being ignored or overlooked. But in reality, silence is not the absence of power, it is the presence of wisdom. It is not emptiness, it is fullness. It is not weakness, it is strength of the highest order. Let me remind you, silence is not about doing nothing. Silence is about doing something greater than words can ever achieve. In our daily lives, we are often pushed into situations where people test us, where voices around us try to pull us into unnecessary arguments, where disrespectful words echo in our ears and the urge to react burns within us. At that moment, most people think power lies in responding, in proving themselves right, in showing the other person who is stronger. But let me ask you, when has shouting ever brought peace? When has arguing ever created respect? When has proving your point to someone who never valued it ever uplifted you? The truth is, silence can do what noise never can. Think about nature. The most powerful forces of this world are silent. The sun rises every morning, giving light and warmth to the entire planet, yet it rises silently. The moon controls the tides of the oceans, influencing something as vast as the sea, yet it does so in complete silence. Even the earth itself rotates, holding mountains, oceans, and billions of lives, but do you hear a sound? No. Silence carries power, because real strength doesn't need to announce itself. It simply is. In our lives, silence gives us clarity. Imagine a time when you were angry, and instead of speaking instantly, you chose silence. In that silence, you gave yourself space to breathe, to think, to reflect. And in that pause, you avoided saying words that could have caused damage for a lifetime. That is not weakness, that is mastery. It is easy to explode, but it is divine to remain composed. Anyone can scream, but only the wise can stay still. Silence also gives us dignity. People will always have opinions, they will talk, they will judge, they will criticize. If you answer every voice, you will lose your peace. But if you stay silent, you rise above their noise. Remember, dogs bark at the moon, but the moon keeps shining. It does not waste its light to respond to barking. In the same way, when you keep your dignity and choose silence, you show that your energy is far too precious to be wasted on meaningless battles. Let me share a small example many of us can relate to. Imagine a workplace where someone tries to provoke you with harsh words, spreading negativity to see your reaction. If you engage, you fall into their trap. But if you stay silent, if you keep your calm and keep working with focus, you don't just protect your peace, you also prove that no one can shake your inner strength. With time, people will see that your silence speaks louder than their noise. Silence is also the doorway to listening, to yourself, and to God. When you stop speaking, when you stop reacting, you start hearing. You start hearing the whispers of your own soul, the guidance of your inner wisdom, the quiet voice of God that is often drowned out by the chaos of the world. In silence, you receive answers that no argument can ever give. In silence, you feel strength flowing into you, not from outside, but from within. Every woman, especially, carries a heart that gives and gives time, energy, love, patience. But in giving so much, sometimes she forgets herself. Silence is the space where she remembers herself again. Silence is where she heals. Silence is where she regains her power. It's like when you put your phone on charging. While it sits quietly, it gathers energy. In the same way, when a woman sits in silence, without defending herself, without exhausting herself, in unnecessary noise, she recharges her soul. And when she returns, she is unstoppable. Silence also teaches us timing. You see, not every truth needs to be spoken immediately. Not every situation needs a response right away. Just like seeds take time to grow, silence gives time for situations to reveal themselves. Often, when we stay silent, life itself exposes what is wrong, and we realize we never needed to fight in the first place. Patience, wrapped in silence, often wins battles that anger could never conquer. But let us be very clear, silence is not about accepting injustice or allowing disrespect. Silence is about choosing when to speak and when not to. It's about knowing that your energy is sacred and not every battle deserves your presence. It's about realizing that true power doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers. And in that whisper lies a thunder greater than any noise. So the next time life tests you, the next time someone provokes you, the next time you feel the urge to shout and defend yourself, pause. Breathe. Remember the sun, the moon, the earth. Remember that silence is not empty, it is full of strength. In your silence, you are not losing, you are winning in a way they cannot even understand. Because silence is not weakness, my friends, silence is strength in its purest, most divine form. There is a deep truth that many people misunderstand. When you focus on yourself, the world quickly labels it as selfishness. But in reality, self-focus is not selfishness, it is self-respect. And self-respect is the foundation of every relationship, every achievement, and every ounce of inner peace you will ever experience. You see, we live in a world that constantly demands from us. People want your time, your energy, your attention, your effort. And women, especially, are trained from an early age to give to the family, give to society, give to everyone around them. But here's the question: if you keep pouring from your cup without filling it, what will remain for you? If you keep burning your flame to light others, who will keep you warm? Focusing on yourself is not abandoning others. It is protecting the source of your giving. Without self-focus, everything you give eventually turns into exhaustion. But with self-focus, everything you give becomes abundant and full of life. Think of the sun again. The sun doesn't chase planets, it doesn't run after the earth or the moon. It simply shines in its own place. And because it remains steady, everything else revolves around it. That is the power of self-focus. When you are centered, when you are rooted in your own growth, in your own purpose, people around you begin to align with your energy. Life starts to flow more naturally. Relationships start to feel balanced. Work begins to feel fulfilling. Because you respected yourself enough to focus inward first. Let's take a simple daily life example. Imagine a woman who wakes up and immediately starts attending to everyone else, making breakfast, preparing children for school, handling her partner's needs, answering messages, managing work. all without taking a moment for herself. Over time, she begins to feel invisible, drained, and unappreciated. She starts to lose her spark. But now imagine the same woman beginning her day by focusing on herself first, maybe through prayer, meditation, reading something inspiring, or even taking a quiet walk. That single act of self-focus changes everything. She approaches her responsibilities with more energy, more clarity, and more joy. By respecting herself, she multiplies what she can give to others. That is not selfishness, that is wisdom. Self-focus also protects you from being misused or mistreated. When you do not respect yourself, you unconsciously allow others to cross your boundaries. You say yes when you should say no. You tolerate disrespect because you fear losing people. But when you truly focus on yourself, you realize that losing people is not the greatest loss, losing yourself is. And no relationship, no job, no approval is worth losing yourself. Self-focus gives you the courage to walk away from what doesn't serve your peace and to stand tall in your own worth. Think about this. When you buy a piece of gold, does the gold run around proving its value to people? No. The gold knows its worth. It simply shines and people recognize its value. In the same way, when you respect yourself enough to focus on your growth, your health, your peace, your purpose, you don't need to chase validation. People will recognize your worth because your energy will radiate it without you saying a word. Another example. Consider a garden. If you only keep giving fruits and flowers to everyone, but never water the roots, eventually the tree will dry up. Your self-focus is watering your roots. It is making sure you are strong enough to keep blooming. When you prioritize your inner growth, your mental health, your emotional stability, you are not neglecting others. You are ensuring that you can continue to give without losing yourself in the process. But let me also remind you, self-focus requires courage. It means saying no when everyone expects a yes. It means taking time for yourself without feeling guilty. It means choosing growth even if it disappoints others. And that is where true self-respect lies, not in pleasing everyone, but in staying true to yourself. Because if you live your whole life pleasing others while abandoning your own soul, you may win their approval, but you will lose your own heart. And what kind of victory is that? Focusing on yourself also allows you to connect more deeply with God. When you silence the noise of the world and turn inward, you realize that your value never depended on other people. It always came from the divine. God created you with a unique purpose, a unique strength, and a unique beauty. But you can only discover it when you stop chasing outside validation and start listening to the voice within. That inner voice is where your power lies. So, the next time you feel guilty for taking time for yourself, remember this. Self-focus is not abandonment of responsibility. It is preparation to handle it better. It is not rejection of others. It is reflection of yourself. And it is not selfishness. It is self-respect, the highest form of respect, because only when you respect yourself can you truly respect others. My friends, never forget, you are like the sun. Do not chase, do not beg, do not lose yourself. Simply focus on shining where you are. And when you shine, everything around you will naturally fall into place. There is a very simple but life-changing principle that shapes our entire existence. Energy flows where attention goes. Whatever you constantly think about, focus on, and give your attention to, grows stronger in your life. Your mind is like a powerful magnet. Whatever you keep focusing on, you attract more of it. The question is, what are you choosing to water with your attention? If you water weeds, weeds will grow. If you water flowers, flowers will bloom. In the same way, if you focus on negativity, fear, and what is missing in your life, you will only experience more emptiness, more fear, more negativity. But if you focus on gratitude, growth, and what you already have, you will begin to experience abundance, peace, and joy. It is not magic, it is simply the way our mind and energy work. Think about your daily life. Imagine you wake up in the morning, and the first thought you allow into your mind is, "Today is going to be stressful. Nothing ever works out for me." With that one thought, you are already sending your energy into stress. And all day, your mind will keep looking for reasons to confirm that belief. Every small problem will feel bigger. Every delay will feel heavier. Every conversation will feel draining. Why? Because your attention created the filter through which you see the world. Now imagine another morning. You wake up and your first thought is, "Today I will carry peace with me, I will do my best, and I will trust the process." That one thought changes the entire energy of your day. Even when challenges come, your mind looks for solutions instead of problems. Even when delays happen, your heart remains calm because your focus is on patience, not frustration. The situation may be the same, but the experience changes because your attention changes. This is why energy and attention are so powerful. They are like sunlight. Whatever you shine light on will grow. If you shine light on your weaknesses, they will look bigger. But if you shine light on your strengths, they will multiply. If you shine light on the people who hurt you, the pain will feel endless. But if you shine light on the lessons you learned, the wisdom will expand within you. Take a simple example of relationships. If you keep focusing only on the flaws of your partner, your mind will constantly find more reasons to be dissatisfied. But if you choose to focus on the good, their kindness, their effort, their care, you will begin to experience gratitude. And that gratitude will make the relationship stronger. The truth is, no person is perfect, but where you place your attention determines whether love grows or frustration grows. Another example, think about work. If you only focus on how hard it is, how unfair it feels, how tired you are, then your energy will drain every single day. But if you choose to focus on the opportunity to grow, the skills you are developing, or even the blessings that job provides, suddenly your energy begins to rise. It is not about ignoring problems, but about choosing what to magnify with your attention. And this principle also applies to the way we see ourselves. If you constantly focus on what you lack, "I am not beautiful enough, not successful enough, not loved enough," you will only strengthen those beliefs and feel smaller and smaller each day. But if you shift your attention to your gifts, your talents, your progress, your uniqueness, then your confidence will grow. You begin to realize that you are not defined by what is missing. You are defined by what is present, by the divine light already within you. There's a famous truth: your mind is like a garden. Thoughts are seeds. What you plant will grow. If you plant seeds of fear, fear will grow. If you plant seeds of hope, hope will grow. But you cannot blame the garden if you keep planting weeds. You must choose carefully what to plant. And once you choose, water it with your attention daily. That is how energy flows. Let me remind you, life is not about controlling everything around you, but about controlling where your focus lies. Storms will come, challenges will appear, people may disappoint you. But if your focus is always on the storm, you will drown. If your focus is on finding the anchor, you will survive. In every challenge, there are two choices: focus on what you cannot control, or focus on what you can. And whichever one you choose, your energy will follow. Self-focus also becomes powerful here when you direct your attention inward, on your growth, your peace, your spiritual connection. You begin to shine from within. That inner energy flows into everything you touch. People feel it in your presence, in your words, in your actions. You no longer live in reaction to life, you live in creation. Because where your attention goes, your energy creates reality. So, my friends, the next time you catch yourself focusing on what drains you, pause. Ask yourself, is this where I want my energy to flow? If the answer is no, then shift. Shift to gratitude, shift to lessons, shift to solutions. Because the truth is, your attention is the steering wheel of your life. If you point it towards darkness, you will drive into darkness. But if you point it towards light, your path will always be brighter. Remember, this energy flows where attention goes. Guard your attention like treasure. Use it wisely. Direct it towards growth, peace, love, gratitude, and self-respect. And when you do, you will notice life does not suddenly become perfect, but your experience of it becomes powerful, beautiful, and deeply fulfilling. There is a beauty in silence that the world often overlooks, but God never ignores. While the world praises the loud, the aggressive, the ones who constantly speak and demand attention, God looks at the silent heart, the heart that endures without complaint, the heart that trusts without explanation, the heart that knows true strength does not always come from speaking loudly, but from quietly surrendering to divine wisdom. A silent heart is not weak, it is powerful. It is powerful because it chooses trust over noise. It is powerful because it chooses patience over anger. It is powerful because it knows that even if the world misunderstands, God understands perfectly. Think about this. Many times in life, people will test you. They will say words that sting. They will treat you unfairly, and they will expect you to break down or to fight back. But when you stay silent, when you choose to place your pain, your frustration, and your confusion into the hands of God, you are not losing, you are rising. Because silence in such moments is not emptiness, it is a form of prayer. It is saying to God, I trust you more than I trust my anger. I trust your timing more than my impatience. I trust your justice more than my need for revenge. Let me share an example from daily life. Imagine someone at work constantly trying to bring you down, spreading negativity or gossip. Your first instinct may be to argue, to defend yourself, to prove them wrong. But sometimes silence is the greatest answer. Because while words may fuel the fire, silence allows the truth to shine on its own. With time, people begin to see what is real. And in that silence, God works behind the scenes. He reveals who you are, not through your arguments, but through your character. That is how God honors the silent heart. Another example, within families or relationships, conflicts are common. If every time a disagreement arises, you fight to win the argument, the bond weakens. But if you practice silence, not silence that suppresses, but silence that listens, silence that trusts, healing begins. In that quiet space, ego melts, love returns, and wisdom speaks. Many times, God speaks not through the noise of arguments, but through the silence of reflection. A silent heart is also a strong heart because it is not desperate for validation. It does not need to constantly explain itself to be accepted. It knows that the one who created it already knows its worth. And when God knows your heart, you don't need to convince anyone else. That is why silence is dignity. When you stop wasting your energy proving yourself to people, you start using that energy to grow closer to God, and that closeness brings a peace that the world cannot shake. Think of nature again. The seed buried in the soil does not scream to the world that it is growing. It grows in silence, unseen, unnoticed. But when the time is right, the seed breaks through the earth and becomes a tree, strong and visible to all. In the same way, when you live with a silent heart, trusting, praying, waiting, your growth may not be visible at first. But in time, God will reveal it. He will honor your patience, your trust, your silence. Silence also teaches us surrender. Too often, we want to control everything, the outcome, the timing, the reactions of others. But life is not always in our control. And when we try to force things with words or actions, we often create more chaos. A silent heart says, I will do my best, and I will leave the rest to God. This surrender does not mean weakness. It means you are wise enough to understand that your fight is limited, but God's fight is limitless. Let's consider another relatable example. A mother may pray silently for her children every night. No one sees her prayers, no one hears her tears, no one notices her sacrifices. But God does, and in unseen ways, He honors her silent heart by protecting her children, guiding them, blessing them. Silence in such a heart is not passive, it is active faith. It is a heart speaking to God in ways that words cannot capture. The truth is, silence is a language. It is the language of trust, the language of surrender, the language of strength. When you choose silence, you are speaking to God more than to people. And when you speak to God in silence, He answers in ways louder than words, through opportunities, through protection, through peace. So, my friends, the next time life tests you, the next time people misunderstand you, the next time you feel the urge to defend yourself or to argue, pause, step back, choose silence. Not silence of fear, but silence of faith. Because the world may ignore your silence, but God never will. He sees every unspoken prayer. He hears every word you never said. He understands every tear you never showed. And in His perfect time, He will honor that silent heart. Remember, the loudest prayers are not always the ones spoken. Sometimes, the most powerful prayer is the one carried in silence in a heart fully surrendered. Trust in that. Believe in that. Live in that, because God always honors the silent heart. Boundaries. A word that many people misunderstand, yet one of the most powerful truths of life. Boundaries are not walls to keep people out. They are doors that allow peace to enter. They are not rejection, they are protection. Boundaries do not mean you love people less. They mean you respect yourself more. Without boundaries, there is no balance. And without balance, life becomes chaos. So often, people think that saying yes to everyone makes them kind, noble, or selfless. But in reality, constantly saying yes when your heart is screaming no only leads to exhaustion, resentment, and even self-destruction. True kindness comes from a place of fullness, not emptiness. And to remain full, you must protect your energy. That protection comes through boundaries. Think about your own daily life. How many times have you said yes to things you didn't want to do, simply to avoid disappointing someone? How many times have you stayed silent when someone disrespected you, because you didn't want conflict? How many times have you carried burdens that were never yours to carry, because you felt guilty for saying no? Every one of those moments chips away at your inner peace. Boundaries are the way to stop that slow erosion of your soul. Boundaries are not about being cold or distant. They are about being clear. Just as traffic lights guide cars and prevent accidents, boundaries guide relationships and prevent emotional crashes. Imagine if there were no red lights, no green lights, no rules on the road. Every street would be filled with accidents, chaos, and frustration. Life without boundaries is the same. People will keep crossing lines, not because they are evil, but because they don't know where your lines are. It is your responsibility to set those lines with love and firmness. Take the example of your phone battery. When the battery is low, the phone gives you a warning. If you ignore the warning, the phone shuts down. In the same way, your mind and heart need boundaries to conserve energy. If you allow everyone to drain you without limits, you will eventually shut down emotionally, mentally, physically. But when you set boundaries, you are saying, I respect my energy enough to protect it so that I can continue to give without losing myself. Some people will resist your boundaries, especially if they benefited from your lack of them. They will call you selfish, arrogant, or unkind. But remember this, protecting your peace is never selfish, it is sacred. You are not here to be available for everyone's demands. You are here to live in alignment with your values, your purpose, your connection to God. And only when you respect yourself enough to set boundaries can you walk that path with clarity. Let's take another daily life example. Imagine you are constantly available for a friend who only calls you when they need something. They never ask how you are. They never give back, they simply take and take. Without boundaries, you continue saying yes, and with time, you begin to feel drained, used, and unappreciated. But when you set a boundary, when you say no to things that exploit you, you create balance. Maybe that person leaves your life, or maybe they learn to respect your time. Either way, you win, because your peace is protected. Boundaries also teach others how to love you. People cannot read your mind. If you never express what is acceptable and what is not, how will they know? Boundaries are your way of teaching the world how to treat you. Just as a beautiful garden has fences to protect its flowers, your soul needs fences to protect its peace. Without them, weeds will grow, and soon the beauty will be lost. But here's the key. Boundaries must come from a place of love, not anger. When you set a boundary with love, you are not punishing others, you are protecting yourself. You are saying, I care about this relationship, but I care about my well-being too. Boundaries are not about building walls, they are about building healthy bridges. Even spiritually, boundaries matter. If you spend all your time pleasing people, but never take time to sit in silence, to pray, to connect with God, your soul will feel empty. Setting boundaries around your spiritual time, protecting it like sacred treasure, creates balance between the outer world and your inner world. And that balance is where true strength lies. Remember this, people who truly love you will respect your boundaries. They may not like them at first, but they will adjust because real love honors respect. People who resist your boundaries are often those who benefited from your lack of them. Let them go, if necessary. Your peace is too precious to be sacrificed for someone's temporary comfort. So, my friends, the next time you feel guilty for saying no, remind yourself, it is not a rejection, it is a reflection of self-respect. The next time someone accuses you of being selfish for protecting your time, remind yourself, it is not selfishness, it is sacredness. Boundaries are not about keeping people away, they are about keeping peace within. And when you protect your peace, you create balance in every part of your life. Never forget, a river flows beautifully because its banks create boundaries. Without them, it would flood and destroy everything in its path. In the same way, your life flows beautifully when boundaries guide it. Boundaries are not your prison. They are your freedom. They allow you to love without losing yourself, to give without being drained, and to live with balance, not chaos. There is a truth about life that many overlook. When you are at peace within yourself, The world outside begins to reflect that peace. Inner peace is not just a feeling, it is a foundation. It is the ground on which your thoughts, actions, and relationships are built. Without it, life feels chaotic no matter how perfect things look from the outside. With it, even in the middle of storms, you can remain steady, calm, and unshaken. So many people spend their lives trying to fix the outside, chasing the right job, the perfect relationship, the ideal lifestyle, believing that once everything outside falls into place, they will finally feel at peace. But the truth is the opposite. Only when you create peace within do the pieces of life begin to fall into order. Think about a stormy ocean. When the waves are high and violent, a boat struggles to move forward, but beneath the surface of the ocean, deep in its core, there is stillness. That stillness is what holds the ocean together. In the same way, life will always have waves, problems, conflicts, disappointments. But when your inner world is calm, you can face those waves without sinking. Your inner peace becomes your anchor. Consider a simple daily example. Imagine waking up in the morning, already filled with anxiety, already worrying about the tasks of the day, already focusing on what might go wrong. By the time you step out of the house, your mind is in chaos. And because your inside is unsettled, every little thing outside feels heavier. A small traffic jam feels unbearable. A simple comment from someone feels like criticism. Even minor challenges appear impossible. Why? Because inner chaos magnifies outer disorder. Now imagine another scenario. You wake up and begin your day with a moment of silence, a prayer, a deep breath of gratitude. You choose to center yourself before stepping into the world. That inner calm becomes your shield. When traffic slows you down, you remain patient. When someone speaks harshly, you do not take it personally. When challenges appear, you look for solutions instead of drowning in stress. The outside did not change. The same events happened. But your experience changed because you carried peace inside. This is the power of inner peace. It transforms how you see, how you react, and how you live. It does not remove the storms of life, but it gives you the wisdom to sail through them without losing yourself. Look at nature again. A tree rooted deeply in the ground does not fear the storm. The wind may shake its branches, but its roots hold firm. In the same way, when you are rooted in peace, rooted in trust, rooted in your connection with God, no storm can uproot you. You may bend, but you will not break. You may stumble, but you will not fall apart. Inner peace also brings clarity. When the mind is restless, decision making becomes difficult. You jump from one thought to another, one fear to another, one worry to another. But when your mind is calm, clarity emerges. Just like muddy water clears when left undisturbed, your thoughts become clear when your heart is still. From that stillness, wise decisions are born. Another daily life example. Think of someone at work who is constantly stressed, panicking over deadlines, fearing failure. Their stress not only affects their own performance, but also spreads to everyone around them. But another person, facing the same pressure, approaches with calmness. They focus on solutions instead of problems. They work steadily instead of frantically. And because of their calmness, the entire team feels lighter. The difference is not in the situation, it is in the state of the heart. One carried chaos within, the other carried peace. Inner peace also reflects in relationships. When you are restless inside, you project that restlessness onto others. You become quick to anger, quick to misunderstand, quick to judge. But when you are peaceful within, you bring harmony into your relationships. You listen more, you forgive easier, you respond with patience instead of reaction. Peace inside creates peace outside. Let's remember this: you cannot pour clean water from a dirty vessel. If your inner world is full of bitterness, resentment, and restlessness, that is what you will pour into the world around you. But if your inner world is filled with peace, love, and trust, that is what will overflow into your home, your work, your friendships, your entire life. Inner peace is also a choice. Life will always give you reasons to be restless. Delays, disappointments, rejections, losses. But peace does not come from the absence of problems. Peace comes from the presence of trust. Trust that every storm passes. Trust that every night ends in dawn. Trust that God's plan is greater than your worry. That trust creates peace, and that peace brings order to everything around you. So, my friends, do not wait for the outside world to become perfect before you decide to be peaceful. The world will never be perfect, but your inner world can be. Choose peace in your thoughts, peace in your words, peace in your actions. Choose peace when others choose anger. Choose peace when situations choose chaos. Choose peace and watch how your life begins to align. Because the truth is simple: inner peace brings outer order. When you are calm within, the world outside falls into place.